The Happiness Roundtable brings to focus important projects, ideas, and people in the grassroots happiness movement. Hear Erin Weber talk about her work for USPIRG and her project, New Economy.
Thank you, everyone, for sharing all the great work you're doing. So I work with USPIRG, US Public Interest Research Group. So we've been around for a while, and our bread and butter is consumer issues. So it was kind of a unique fit for us to start going into this type of work. But then we have been having a really big change in our entire organization where we have been incorporating a paradigm shift of thinking that permeates all of our campaigns, including my colleagues who work at Environment America. So we have found in all of our work, our environmental work, our consumer work, that we are operating in a post-scarcity paradigm. So scarcity describing a situation where a community cannot produce enough sustenance and material goods to allow everyone to have a comfortable life. That is the paradigm that we have as humans have existed in for our entire history. And for the first time in all of human history, that is no longer the case, at least in the US, which again is kind of our focus. We are not living in a world of scarcity. We are living in a post-scarcity world, so one that a community can produce enough sustenance and material goods to allow everyone to have a comfortable life. So now the issue isn't that we don't have enough, it's that we're not giving access to that to people who need it. So we've been food, according to the NRDC, 40%, so nearly half of all food in the US is never consumed. You're seeing homelessness increase and lack of affordable housing, despite empty storefronts and half-sold luxury apartment buildings in major cities. Just our stuff. So we produce 1.7 times what the world can sustainably source every single year, and 99% of all consumer goods are thrown away in 6 months. So we've been tackling this from a lot of different angles, but with that common thread of post-scarcity. And so that's where our work with the happiness movement arose. And so what we've been working on now is building momentum to shift the conversation from what is best for GDP and the economy to what is best for people. And we're doing that rooted in our historical strengths. So that's our presence in the states. We have a very strong presence in 32 states. We're constantly canvassing, and we have state directors who have really great relationships with state legislatures and city councils in those states. And I've been really happy to hear people talking about partisanship, because that is one of our biggest strengths, is that we are transpartisan, and we believe that this is a transpartisan issue. You can attack it from so many sides, and we've been seeing a lot of transpartisan support for issues that we have not been labeling as happiness, things like our Right to Repair campaign that empower people not to go out and buy more stuff and get the tools they need in their own hands. That is not necessarily marketed as improving happiness and measuring happiness. It's one of those issues that we believe is part of this post-scarcity piece. So we've been doing this internationally too, but our focus is really mainly on working with states and local governments. And so this is something that is actually just getting up and running really in the last couple months. So it's really exciting for our organization and to be part of all of this. So that's why we are building momentum in the states, so that state governments and city governments and communities start measuring happiness and taking into account happiness the same way they do with GDP and economic growth.
Learn more about grassroots activism in the happiness movement at happinessroundtable.org.